Hey guys, wow, you're here early. Let's get started. Oh my goodness, we have so much to talk about. But first, I want to apologize for hopping off of the live chat so fast on Monday. I'm so sorry, but it was important. So here we are, Wednesday afternoon, my time. How's everybody doing? Hey, Star Mama. Hey, Sapphire. Hey, Happy Angie. Star Mama's having a BLT. Ooh, that sounds good. That sounds good. I've got my lunch going on the little griddle. So I'll be running over to the kitchen from time to time. Yes, Sapphire. I was playing the Rittenhouse thing when I got back to the house. I turned that on. Isn't that interesting? I love the female on the defense team. She's like, Your Honor, this isn't true. I thought she did a great job speaking up on behalf of the truth because it sounds like the defense was given, I don't know, what does it sound like? Like they were given a doctored up copy of that. Was that the drone footage, I think? I think it's kind of interesting, too, that the jury is taking so long in deliberations. That kind of makes me nervous because, personally, in my opinion, he should have never been charged with any crime. I think it's obvious that he acted in self-defense. And the whole idea that the jury, I'd say, yeah, the jury is being told that the people he shot were unarmed. No, they were armed. They were armed with a whole lot of weird going on. They were armed with rage. They were armed with who knows what in their heads. And they were armed with fists. And they were armed, even one guy with a skateboard and with feet. They didn't mind kicking and hitting, right? And didn't one guy have a gun? Hello. Didn't they go pretty far through the trial acting like the guy didn't have a gun? One of the guys that Kyle Rittenhouse shot? And then lo and behold, didn't the footage appear as if maybe he was pointing a gun right at Kyle? Or am I wrong? I hope he hears not guilty, not guilty, not guilty right across the board. So there is a lot for us to discuss. And I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Susie, do you want to tell us what you think about that video? I'm not sure. I think you were in the chat, but I'm not sure. I just took a look at that Dave video. What did you think of that? Yes, that one. The FRJ one, where he's talking about him being such a nice guy. I do think it's kind of weird, though, because that information that Dave is talking about, that has been talked about for 3 years. So I don't understand how it could be that he had never heard that before. That just seems kind of strange that nobody would have mentioned that to him by now. Ms. Badsker says, just leaving school now. Will listen as I drive home. Hey, everyone. Hey, Ms. Badsker. What'd you think of it, Susie? Do you think it's kind of odd that 3 years later they're talking about something that was tossed about, I don't know, at length? Ah, Cecile said he knew about it but didn't want to divulge. Oh, okay, Susie. I only listened to just a little bit of it. So is that about the whole copyright thing? So there you go. I missed the focus of it. Is that about all the we own the pictures, so you can't use the pictures routine? You guys know that I've had complaints on my books on Amazon too about using pictures. But it's interesting because I went ahead and changed the photo when there was a complaint and they were trying to get stuff removed, evidently. And Amazon sent me a nice email. So I switched out the photo. I don't care. And the photo that I had to use isn't as nice of a photo as the one that I had. So I don't know what that's about. Seems to me that whoever was complaining would have preferred that I use the nicer photo. It makes no sense. When you have a high profile true crime case and there are photos all over the internet of subjects of that true crime case, then obviously the photos should be able to be used by people who are, writing books, right? Sorry about that little delay. I was out in the kitchen again. Ooh, I'll back up here. Privacy issue. Susie says, I think him mentioning the child abuse was to refresh people's memory. Yes, copyright. I said, tell you a GoFundMe will be coming to take Facebook to court. Star Mama says, OMG. They pick at everyone except their opinions and pictures. The R's disgust me. MJ says, take your dog out. Actually, somebody just pulled in quick, and I'm like waving my hand going, shh, shh, shh. So the dog's like, Blur! But we're good. The dog's been out like 4 times already. But now he's watching out to see what they're doing. It's deer hunting season here. So I try to be more careful during deer hunting season. I've told you guys before how he likes to run with the deer. He thinks he is one. Summer Breeze says, do the R's just pocket all this GoFundMe money for themselves? Well, I think it is very interesting that one day after I learned about the investigation on the GoFundMe, that suddenly it was taken down and there was a link put up by GoFundMe that said if you donated money, then click on there to find out, if you wanted a refund. And that one, Christopher Watt's mother-in-law was the beneficiary. And then Christopher Watt's brother-in-law said that he used all of that money. He said $10,000 to give to the lawyer. Okay. But I thought that GoFundMe had like 14,000 or something, didn't it? And didn't he say before that he used 5,000 for something? I don't know. I'm either getting confused by all the stories or the stories are all getting confused. Sapphire says, I see FRJ is in a bit of hot water. I didn't know he was in hot water. Cecile says, the R's so publicly want the whole affair to be private. Really? Really? Megan says it goes directly to his solicitors. The GoFundMe? No, it didn't, Megan. Susie says many, many people are starting to turn on them and people are wising up. Sapphire says greed, I would say. Megan says they're all crazy, but I also believe AD is in hot water too. If not legally, then definitely financially. Tell us more, Megan. You think that they're actually going to sue AD and he's going to pay them big money because why? Because he has an opinion on a true crime case? Star Mama says, I have an open mind to what others think and their opinions, as long as they don't attack me for mine, like has been done. Cecile said that she was giving them the benefit of the doubt. Susie says it's not going to go to court. It's all BS. Megan says, Susie seems to be that way, although I'm sad for what they're going through. Megan, have you lost a loved one in the last 3 years? MJ says, I believe that AD, that he's having problems with the R's. Bella says, hi, lovelies. Sapphire says, I don't. The moment I heard FR Senior on the phone leaving MM a nasty message, he didn't leave me a nasty message on the phone. I think you're talking about the one where he did a video and he posted it online and he said that we're never going to know the truth because law enforcement doesn't tell people like us, right? The one that was leaving me a message was some weirdo. I don't even remember what his profile name was. And he was calling me some names, let me tell you. You should see the text that I got from North Carolina, though, from a massage parlor in North Carolina. That was pretty interesting. Susie says they're on YouTube 24/7. No, they're not, because remember, 1 year after the tragedy happened, FR Senior stood at the end of the driveway and said they're not on social media. Sapphire says, you're not old, MM. Sapphire, I'll tell you a secret. I'm going to whisper it to you. I am old. It's true. Seriously, I am. I do think it is an extra layer of disgusting the way FR Jr. has talked about me and other women, calling his elders things like wildebeests and old hags and all that. It just kind of makes you kind of puke, you know? Like, I don't know, does he have grandma issues or something? Oh, Megan's talking about the second GoFundMe for $30,000. I'm not sure that's the second GoFundMe. And that, if you're talking about one for 30, I think it was actually 25 and then 45 and now it's 75. Or maybe you're talking about the Facebook one that raked in like 134, I think it was. Or maybe it's the Outback Steakhouse ones that raked in a pretty penny. I don't know. There have been so many, I've lost track. Ooh, Sapphire. Well then, okay, we'll do it this way. I'll be old and you'll be young. That's cool, because you really are, as long as you're still in that decade, right? But boy, once you hit the big 60, it's like, okay, maybe I'm old. Ooh, Susie says AD has a fund for court now, too. Man, that seems to be the going trend, doesn't it? And so has Trasha. Yep, the GoFundMes are all the rage. I'm not sure. I don't think I had ever heard of GoFundMe before this case. Star Mama says FJR lies. He does not tell the truth. The lawyers claim they work pro bono and no upfront payments. Well, I know that FJR lies because he actually committed defamation, libel, intentional infliction of emotional distress, harassment, that sort of thing, against me personally when he lied about me to thousands of people. Megan says, no, I don't believe anything will go to court. What I do know from watching AD over the years is that he said some things he shouldn't have said. Ooh, Megan, tell us more. Tell us more, Megan. What did AD say that he shouldn't have said? M says AD is all drama, so who can believe him? I don't. M, I'm with you. I don't believe AD at all. I think it's all part of the whole package. Carmen says, what bothers me is even if Chris Watts tells that his wife actually killed the kids, it won't change anything for him. Would they overturn his sentence and do a new trial? Well, it depends. If Chris Watts were to ever appeal his conviction and sentencing, he would have to do a proper appeal. Sapphire says that AD is still patting himself on the back over stupid shadows. He's another one that grinds my gears. Sarah Mama says nothing will happen. AD has nothing, and the R's are liars. Look, they lied about SW's issues, her work, being a mom, income, and a good wife. Susie says bloody shadows, too much gin. Mo is old too. All right, Mo. Yeah, you know that day that it hit you, right? It's kind of like you look in the mirror and you go, wow, huh, I'm resembling my mom even more. Either that or it's when you're like really exhausted trying to like keep up with the younger kids, with the younger ones in your family, right? Where you're like, wow, I used to be able to play a really good game of basketball. Although, who am I kidding? I was known with basketball and tennis both to call the game when like I got tired or if I was ahead. Just kidding. Megan says, I believe they're planning to just hit him with letters to cost him solicitor fees. Susie says the latest amount was 75K. Star Mama says, I'm old, but I'm not an old hag. Exactly. How dare, how dare, I think at that time he was 30. How dare a 30-year-old male living at mommy's house claiming he works, claiming all sorts of success, right? How dare he? How dare he talk about women the way he talks about women? It is disgusting. Megan says, wait, what? How many have they had, and why don't they pay for taking AD to court themselves if they've so much money? Megan says, AD screamed on panel, he'll quadruple what FR makes, and he's only got just under 4,000. They're all buffoons. Dreamcatcher says, FR Senior says we will never know the truth. Then why is this case even spoken about? Why is it even out there? What is FR Senior telling us, really? Well, I think he's telling us that so far we haven't been told the truth. My phone's ringing. I'll be right back. I promise. Well, that timing was perfect. I got to check the food on the stove, which was good. So in a few minutes, I'm going to check it again, and then I'll start chomping in your ear, as usual. Star Mama says that Christopher Watts is too scared to say anything. It's obvious. I think he's totally petrified. I think he also feels responsible. I think he feels responsible for his children's deaths. Not that I'm saying I think he did it. I don't think he did it. But I think he blames himself for it happening. Megan says that AD had various nights where he lost his crap yelling on panel, slandering the R's. Really? Really? When did he slander the R's? I don't know if you guys can put links in the chat or not, but if you could, Megan, if you could find any clip where he's slandering the R's, I'd love it if you'd share it with us. It'd be interesting to hear if he actually did slander the R's or not. Megan says lots of things he said in a rage that were just stupid. He even defamed a defamation lawyer. He really isn't the smartest. Carmen says, yes, I think maybe he would, as there's no actual evidence he killed them. Even Casey Anthony walked free. There was more for her than Chris. Sapphire says, the more I see and hear, the more I want to close myself off from all. Susie says, there is nada on CW. Sapphire says, is MM here? I don't hear her. I just answered the phone, Sapphire, and then I checked on the food. Star Mama says, Dreamcatcher, he knows the truth. That's what I think. I agree with you, Star Mama. I think he knows exactly. Do you mean AD or do you mean Christopher Watts? I think AD probably has known the truth from the start, but quite frankly, I think he's dinking around with all that shadow talk and everything. Summer Breeze says he's 36 mm. Megan says SR encourages his behavior. Well, I imagine because he lives at home with Mommy. Oh, Susie had our president. You're in Scotland, right, Susie? All right. So you got the helicopters going all over. MJ says, I saw AD's video and I saw a small shadow. Susie says AD stole the work from someone else. Well, I don't think there would have been any small shadows, quite frankly, because I think the children were murdered in their beds. That's my opinion. And I think when Christopher Watts left for work, he had no clue that there was going to be trouble as soon as he left. Star Mama says SR is an enabler of her son and protects him for now. But will it last? I don't know. Well, however old he is, 33, 34, 35, 36, I'm not sure that it's protective to encourage him to live at home with Mama. MJ says, okay, but I saw a small shadow. Susie says, family business, Star. He's the mouthpiece for the scamming. I'm not sure. I don't think he's the mouthpiece. I think somebody else writes a lot of his stuff because if you watch him in a video, he doesn't seem to have the vocabulary that his written words seem, to have. Sapphire says there's a swarm of news protesters and who knows what else in front of the Kenosha, or is it Kenosha? Kenosha. I'm sorry, I said it wrong. In front of the Kenosha courthouse. Judge Schrader married me about 20 years ago. Oh, good for you, Sapphire. That's cute. MJ says also Christopher Watts picked up a child and put the child in his truck. Well, MJ, I have no doubt that probably there's a video being passed around that makes it look that way, but I don't believe it. Cecile says, Star Mama, SR is an Italian. I said Italian. Ugh. SR is an Italian mama. She will protect him always, but will always admonish him in private, in my opinion. Susie says, picking up children like NK's white bag, LOL. Carmen says, I have been under a rock for the last 3 years and only just heard of this case. Nothing with this family was what it seemed. It's a tangled mess underneath that surface of normality. What surface of normality? Please, if you could, find any video that you think shows Christopher Watts' wife acting normal, and then send me the link. Susie says, how many times do we hear, I'm Italian? Exactly. Did you guys know that Christopher Watts' wife had a license plate frame that said Italian princess? I kid you not. That's what Cindy Watts said. Star Mama says, AD did a video about the R's and the lawsuits and their behavior. Sapphire says, I guess I'll go switch my laundry. Megan says, I don't think I could share a link, but I could certainly point you in the right direction. I've definitely heard him say some things that may or may not be enough to get him into bother something or other. Well, just off the top of your head then, Megan, what have you heard him say that you think is slander? Do share. Mo says, the Ruse should sue me, ha, council house, an old banger worth $1,000 and no savings, so I'm a waste of resources, which is okay. I can call them all the scammers of the day. Mo, you're always thinking. Star Mama says that both Christopher Watts and F. Sr. know the truth. Susie says, Mo, I'm with you, hun. Sue and take my council house. I have no idea what a council house is. Susie says, yes, all day, over my house. LOL. Lots of love. Mo and Susie are laughing about their council houses, and I don't know what that means. Megan says, does anyone believe CW will ever tell the truth? Well, I think when he gave his first interview, he did tell the truth when he said he didn't murder his children, Bella and Cece Watts. I'm flipping through faster because you guys are faster than me. Mo says, oh, what a tangled web we weave. Paul's here. Paul said it was said in court that he took them out like pieces of trash. Will this footage ever be released? Or will people like us never know the truth? Paul, I think we already know the truth. I think we already know the truth, and I think it pisses a lot of people off. All I'm saying is if you can get your hands on that video about the rigor mortis, just watch that video. And I think that video pissed a lot of people off. Bella says, do you believe AD has been in contact with Cindy? You know, had you asked me that a year and 2 months ago, I would have said no way. Now, who knows? Susie says they all know, and so does NA and her son, in my opinion. I agree with you, Susie. I think that NA and her son know a hell of a lot more than what we've heard so far. Dreamcatcher's saying she was Italian when it was convenient and helped in certain ways. Why then didn't she marry an Italian? So yeah, so SW's Italian princess, whatever, should have said perhaps somewhere up to the possibility of 50% Italian, maybe. Megan says he's definitely slandered NK, but I'd say telling people on a live the family was paid to keep quiet is slander. I may be wrong though. So was that his sentence? Did he say the family was paid to keep quiet? Cecile said it is an accommodation provided at low cost. Oh, okay. So like a public housing thing is what we call it in the States. Susie says, Mind AD said Cindy told him there were 4 people in the basement. Does Cindy know that there were 4 people in the basement? Okay, I'm going to run to the kitchen real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. You guys want to hear me go on a rant? Are you in the mood for a Miss Mensa rant? I'll wait to take a bite here if you say yes. Hurry though, I'm hungry. I haven't had lunch yet. That's not that bad because I had a late breakfast, but still. Okay, Paul's ready for a rant. Here we go. I'm pissed. And I say that with a smile. I just had the best vacation of my life. I am talking 9 days straight of the best vacation of my life. And I would love to be able to share every bit of it with you, right? But I can't. And I'll tell you why I can't. Because there are evil people on the planet who think it's cool to use social media and use the internet and use their free government phones and use their funds that they get every month for free, after they get their crappy looking manicures and all, or their illegal drugs or whatever it is they get, right? To try to, quote, destroy other people. They have threatened me. They have doxed me. They have appeared parked alongside the road right by one of my homes. They have doxed both of my homes. They have doxed my children. They have harassed my children. They have harassed all of our family members and friends and neighbors and classmates, for Pete's sakes, from high school. They have doxed the judiciary and told thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, to contact the judiciary and to tell them to not allow me to be a judicial officer. They have harassed courthouses where I am an approved domestic relations mediator, telling them to not allow me to be a domestic relations mediator. They have filed false police reports. They have done so much more. They have threatened my life. They have posted absolute lies about me. They have been attacking me for over 3 years straight. So I can't sit here and go, guess what, guys? I'm going to go on vacation. Or while I'm on vacation, say, sorry, guys, I'm sorry I'm so spastic here, but I'm on vacation and I'm kind of like really busy, right? I can't sit here today and go, oh my gosh, let me tell you about my vacation. It was wonderful. Because of the scumbag, evil, wretched failures in life who sit on their free government-issued cell phones and use it as a tool to harm innocent people. So, suffice it to say, I just had the best vacation of my life. And I've had some very good vacations in my life. I always say that, though, when I go on vacation, because it always is, right? They just get better and better. I mean, you know what I'm saying. It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. Oh, yes, Star Mama. Yeah, Verbal Megan is saying, for an opinion? Why? Over an opinion? And Star Mama is pointing out that they were attacking me before I even heard of this toxic case. They targeted people in the true crime community. Evidently, they had a scam to pull, and they needed to have antagonists, or at least pretend antagonists, so they could say, oh, look at that. They're being mean. Okay, now I'm going to take a bite. So that's my rant. You know, wouldn't it be nice if we could just talk freely? But we can't, because we know that evil exists on the planet. And we know that the case of Christopher Watts brings with it a lot of icky, evil people. Thank you, Paul. Paul said, glad you had a nice vacay, MM. Well deserved. I had a ball. I just had a ball. I had a flippin' ball. Nope, not tuna today, hun. Not tuna today. This is, well, I'm not even going to say. This is probably not as healthy as tuna. Yes, Susie, and another break is on the horizon, too. Nope, Jeanette, not tuna. Man, I got to eat less tuna. Are you sure you guys don't mean salmon? Because I do salmon a couple times a week. I do tuna once a week. Either way, I guess it kind of sounds like I'm eating salmon because I usually go to the salmon. I don't think I do that to tuna. I know, Star Mama, right? Could you tell, like with my emails and stuff, that I was kind of like off kilter? I'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, And then Monday it was like, oh, gotta go, bye. Yesterday was a long day of travel. And I thought I would like sleep a lot of hours today, but I was wide awake first thing this morning going, man, that was fun. Megan says, fish is the only thing I don't eat. Wish I liked it. It's good food. Paul said, I've just had salmon for dinner. Good, good, good. Salmon is like my favorite food probably lately, I'd say. And I like my chicken Caesar salads too. Those are too crunchy though to have in a live chat. So I actually had that for breakfast. And I know that sounds weird, but I like having chicken Caesar salad for breakfast. Oh, okay. Okay, Star Mama. I remember that. No, actually, okay, I'll tell you. I'm eating sausage links. I love sausage links. This isn't the maple syrup kind. This is just the plain one, the regular. But I just love them, and so does my dog. And I left my dog for 9 days, so he's getting spoiled today. Yep, salmon and salads. My go to. My doctor said that people, because you know how you ask all these questions like which vitamin and should I be taking this or taking that, because you see the commercials and think, oh my goodness, let's all have fish oil, right? And he told me don't take fish oil in supplements. He said you need to eat the fish for it to be beneficial. MJ has salmon and tuna on Fridays. Good for you, MJ. Yes, my favorite, Star Mama. My favorite. And my dog's favorite too. He's actually looking at me like he's too tired to eat. I did learn something though in my absence. He was being taken care of very well, I thought, but he has stuff hidden everywhere. He put food in my shoe, in one of my shoes. He put food in one of my shoes. And you know why he did it? Because he's pissed because I went on vacation without him. You just know it. Megan, are you talking about the curious case of Christopher Watts? That's still up. Wow, Star Mama. Star Mama's lost 10 pounds lately just by cutting down her carbs, by not eating bread. Wow. Good job, girlfriend. I got an interesting email. I got a lot of interesting emails, you guys. One of them, I asked permission to talk about it in the live chat, and they haven't said yes yet, so I feel kind of bad if I start talking about it. Let me click and see if they said yes yet. Oops, where are you? I lost you. There you are. Okay. How do I get to my email? There it is. Got it. Okay, they haven't said yes yet. So I'm going to wait just in case they don't want me to go on and on about it. And I don't understand it that well anyway, so it'd be good for that person to be here. I'll tell you this, it's about the tool cart in the garage and the location of the tool cart. I think they called it the T cart or something. And it makes a lot of sense. Look at that car where it's situated and look at how his truck was backed up. He wouldn't have been able to have pulled his truck into the garage. And look at where the tools were, right? Jeanette says animals sulk when we get back from holiday. Exactly. He's like, when I pulled in, he came flying out the door. Like he was airborne. It was hilarious. And I opened my door and he flew right in on me and started to attack me. Right now he's sitting here watching me. I think he knows I'm talking about him. And then he started kind of trying to tell me something, so I don't know. I don't know, but it is deer hunting too, so he's because usually he goes running in the morning. Oh, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't put mine in kennels anymore. The last time I did, my dog was really angry. Not this dog, my previous dog. But I leave him in really good hands. I just think that he's left alone a lot. I think he doesn't like that. Star Mama, that's wonderful. I bet that feels good. Yeah, I don't know what case you guys are talking about. Let's look. Scheduled execution of Julius Jones in Oklahoma. He committed a terrible murder, and there are a bunch of celebrities, etc., etc. Let's see here. I should leave this one open just in case they come to a conclusion in case the jurors come to a verdict. Let's see. Let's see if they've said anything yet. Ah, it disappeared. There it is. It's doing the circle thingy.
He's got handbrake.
Nope, no verdict yet. It doesn't look like. So I'm going to take this window and I'm going to Google that case because I've never heard of it. Was he a football player? Okay, it says Julius Jones supporters gather outside Oklahoma governor's mansion. That was 8 hours ago, uploaded. How soon is his execution planned for? Students walk out. 22 minutes ago, this was posted. It says the state has scheduled Jones to death by lethal injection, making him only the second prisoner to be executed since the state took a 6-year something or other. Oh, here's another one that says innocent on death row. Is he really innocent? If he's really innocent, why is it right before his execution that everyone's getting all involved? Where have they been? 8 facts about Julius Jones, innocent on death row in Oklahoma. Updated on November 3rd of 2021. Julius Jones has been on death row in Oklahoma for 19 years for a 1999 murder he has always said he had no part in. Mr. Jones, who was represented by federal attorneys Dale Something and Amanda Something, was convicted and sentenced to death at the age of 19 and has now spent half of his life in prison waiting to be executed for a crime that new and compelling evidence suggests he didn't commit. More than 6.3 million people and counting have signed a petition supporting Mr. Jones in his fight to prove his innocence in the killing of Paul Howell, a business person in Edmond, Oklahoma. Despite this, Mr. Jones' execution has been scheduled for November 18. He is one of 7 people facing execution in Oklahoma in the next 6 months. If carried out, they will be the first executions to take place in Oklahoma since 2015, after a series of botched executions resulted in a statewide moratorium. Okay, this article says, here's what you need to know about his case. Number 1, Julius Jones was at home having dinner with his parents and sister at the time of the murder. However, his legal team failed to present his alibi at his original trial. His trial attorneys did not call Mr. Jones or his family members to the stand. Well, Mr. Jones had the right to take the stand regardless of whether or not his lawyers wanted him to. So why didn't he take the stand and say, I was at home having dinner with my family? Number 2, Mr. Jones did not match the description of the person who committed the crime, which was provided by a sole eyewitness. The person who killed Mr. Howell was described as having 1 to 2 inches of hair, but Mr. Jones had a shaved head. Interesting. A man named Christopher Jordan matched the eyewitness hair description, but claimed only to have been the getaway driver and not the shooter at trial. He was the state's star witness against Mr. Jones. In exchange for testifying that Mr. Jones was the shooter, Mr. Jordan was given a plea deal for his alleged role as the getaway driver. He served 15 years in prison, and today he is free. Number 4, 3 people incarcerated with Mr. Jordan at different times have said in sworn affidavits that Mr. Jordan told each of them that he committed the murder and framed Mr. Jones. None of these 3 men have met Mr. Jones, and they do not know one another. And none of them have been offered a shorter sentence or incentive in exchange for disclosing Mr. Jordan's confessions. It says the impact of racial bias in the Julius Jones case. Number 1, Mr. Howell, a white man, was killed in a predominantly white neighborhood. Immediately, then District Attorney Bob Macy characterized the crime as an act of violence committed by black men fueled by drugs. This narrative was perpetuated by media coverage. Number 2, the officer who arrested Mr. Jones called him the N-word and dared him to run, then implied he would shoot him if he did. Woo! Number 3, 11 out of the 12 jurors at Mr. Jones' trial were white, and 1 juror referred to Mr. Jones by the N-word and suggested that he be taken out behind the courthouse. Number 4, 1/3 of District Attorney Macy's death penalty convictions have been overturned due to prosecutorial misconduct. Many of those whose convictions were vacated are black. To date, 10 people sentenced to death in murder cases in Oklahoma have been exonerated. Wow. Okay, what's my opinion? Gee. My opinion on this case, just on what we've just read, is that I'm surprised 19 years later. I mean, if all that stuff is true, okay, then where's the appeal? Why is it, what'd they say, November 18? That's tomorrow, right? Right? Today's the 17th? Or no? Am I right? I don't know. I've been on vacation, so I'm kind of not sure. So why are we talking about this the day before? I wonder what's been done in the meantime. And I wonder what other evidence they have, if any. I'll do this. I'll Google his name, and then I'll Google guilty and see what comes up. Because you know what? Sometimes I think we're misled sometimes, just my opinion, by when people in Hollywood get involved. And we've seen how mobs of people can do stuff on social media and stuff too, right? So let's see if I can find any article that talks about any other facts about the case. Okay, this might be interesting. It says justice for Paul Howell. That's the victim's name. Let's see what this says. It says the Howell family speaks out. The subtitle says the overwhelming evidence in this case supports the court's decision/conviction that Julius Jones murdered Paul Howell on July 28th of 1999. Aha. Dun, dun, dun. The other side of the story. Here's a video. It says Paul Howell's daughter speaks out against misinformation surrounding her father's murder. Let's see what this says. Let's see.
He walked up, opened the door, and shot my dad in the head. And I watched my dad's head fall. The daughter of Paul Howell, speaking with KOCO's Abigail Ogle about what she calls misinformation around her father's murder and his convicted killer, Julius Jones.
And Abby joins us now in studio. Abby, Rachel Howell saying just because big-name celebrities and athletes are all supporting Jones, that does not mean he's innocent.
Right, guys, that's exactly their message. And as the Julius Jones campaign tries to clear his name and save his life, now Rachel Howell and her family have made it their mission to prove the death row inmate is guilty of their father's murder. Family man, you know, fun, silly, goofy, your typical just fun dad. You know, he has 2 daughters, always go to all my soccer games and basketball games.
Those are some of the happy memories Rachel has of her dad, Paul.
Go Ray! He'd always, you know, cheer me on, and I can just hear his voice.
But she also remembers the night her father was gunned down in front of her grandparents' Edmond home.
I remember pulling into the driveway and watching him walk up to the car. I mean, he was right there.
The he she is referring to, she says, is Julius Jones. Paul Howell, his 2 young daughters, and his sister were all in the car after some back-to-school shopping.
The door was already cracked open. I watched him walk up. He had a red bandana over his face, a white shirt, and with a silver gun like up against his leg here as he was walking up, and then opened the door and shot my dad in the head. And that's the main image that I remember, is my dad's head falling.
And Rachel tells me the horror did not stop there.
And it happened so fast, and you're just in this situation where you're thinking, run. I remember running up the driveway with my aunt and my sister, and he shot again at us and luckily missed, but he said stop and shot at us.
That was in 1999. Julius Jones was convicted and sentenced to death.
We've been dealing with this for over 20 years. And over the last few years, we've kind of watched it spiral out of control in a way.
He says he's standing at the top of East Drive.
Documentaries, petitions, a Justice for Julius campaign, which is backed by big-name celebrities and athletes.
What has it been like for you and your family to see these celebrities and athletes come out in full support of the man convicted of murdering your father? They think they're advocating for, you know, an innocent man, but they're not doing all the research, as there have been celebrities and influencers out there that I've looked up to that are advocating for Julius Jones, and it's been disappointing. Are there any that you want to name? I used to follow Kim Kardashian, and she's obviously one of the biggest ones. You know, I used to watch her show. These celebrities are spoon-fed information. You know, they're getting these packets of specific information, and it's the same lies that can be easily contradicted with the facts and documents. What I would like to ask for them is, if you're ever going to advocate for something like this, a capital murder case, look at both sides.
And now Rachel and her family are on a mission to make sure people see their side. Rachel tells me it feels like an uphill battle.
It's like David versus Goliath. We have, I think, 1,000 now on Facebook. Kim Kardashian, all these other people, Russell Westbrook, Blake Griffin, they all have.
I don't know if you guys can hear this or not. Did you hear the daughter of the victim talking in that interview? If not, I can tell you pretty quick what she said. How it's very daunting to have people like Kim Kardashian having 33 million followers, and they have like 1,000 supporters in their little Facebook group on social media. She said that the celebrities who are advocating for Julius Jones are given just a little packet of information, and according to the daughter of the victim, what the celebrities are being told are lies. And she basically, I think, is asking for people to do research on the case before they advocate for someone in that way. She saw her father get shot in the head. Imagine what that feels like to have a bunch of celebrities coming out now in support of her father's killer. So what do I think? My opinion is this. 19 years went by, so I think it's odd. I guess it sounds like people started advocating for him 2 or 3 years ago. I think she said 3 years ago. So why is it that nothing was done in 16 years' time? Why is it the 11th hour, right? And look at what we've seen with the case of Christopher Watts. How many lies have we seen floating around? Oh, Christopher Watts' wife was a retired nurse. She was so successful. They were just a young couple starting out. She was a stay-at-home mom. She had lupus. She had fibro. She had fertility issues. Oh, I think she had fertility issues, all right. I think she had fertility issues, and I would say to the tune of having a lot more pregnancies than we've been told. Tell us more, Paula. Is that all you did was cut out bread? Summer Breeze says, so all you did was cut out bread? Star Mama said, oh, wait, you're talking about the sizes. Paul said, haven't seen that case, Private Pirate. Megan says, I go back and forth on it, but I will never believe CW hurt his daughters. Nope, nope. I agree with you, Megan. I highly doubt Christopher Watts hurt anybody. Ms. Badskirt, good point. We Italian Americans do not claim anyone who sports an Italian princess license plate. Good for you. And I don't know about you, Ms. Badskirt, but I'm very close to an Italian. The last thing they do is say they're Italian. Like, they don't run around saying, I'm Italian, I'm Italian, I'm Italian. They're Italian, and they know it. And people who know them know they are Italian, and they know their friends who are Italian and whatever. But I don't think any of them have ever said, I'm Italian, or tried to blame any temper or any behaviors on any heritage. Because to me, that would be insulting. MJ says, keep away from carbs. Do keto. Myself, I don't do keto because when I did keto for the first time ever, I had a kidney stone. And they analyzed it all and said, yes, it was the keto diet that caused my kidney stone. So I don't do keto anymore. Ms. Badskirt is covering her butt just in case she rear ends someone. Okay, Ms. Badskirt, we've gotcha. Ms. Badskirt is no longer driving. She is safely parked. Yeah, exactly, Star Mama. Blonde hair. It was kind of like a, I don't know, would you say like a dishwater blonde? Susie says all the Kardashians have that story on their Instagram. Megan, yes, if you have any, are you talking about when AD committed slander? And I'm not saying AD committed slander, but if that's what you're talking about, yeah, Miss Mensa at Gmail, that'd be great. We'll talk about it in another live chat. MJ says, and vegetables too. Yes, don't forget your veggies. Carmen says, I think you mean true crime case analysis blogs, Megan. I've been reading it and it's all still there and on Facebook. Megan says, Carmen, yes, that's it. I'll have to look it up again. It's been a few years since I read it and would love to see it again. Thanks. MJ says, bye, Megan. Jeanette says, CW's truck didn't leak oil, in my opinion. He was a mechanic and would have fixed it from what we know of him. Exactly. And you want to know what I think? I think when he pulled back, when he backed his truck up into the driveway, I think it pissed her off. I think she got really mad. Private Pirate says there's DNA evidence he killed a dad out buying ice cream with his 2 young daughters. And that thing I just played, that video I just played, they said they were just returning from school clothes shopping, I think they said, with his sister. So they would have been with their dad and with their aunt. Or I should say aunt. For some of you who say aunt instead of aunt. Star Mama says in Texas, we have people on death row 30 years ago. I'm not sure how I feel about the death sentence because of innocent people and circumstances at the time, mentally. That's how I feel about Darlie Routier. She's on death row in Texas, and I don't think she should be executed. I think she's guilty, but I don't think she should be executed because I think she needed help, and I think people knew she needed help, and she didn't get the help she needed. I will say this, though, you guys. You know how I always have an opinion kind of different than most. That whole innocence thing or false confessions or, miscarriage of justice, like think about the case of Stephen Avery. Look at how that took off with everyone thinking he's innocent. Are you kidding me? Or thinking that Brendan Dassey is some sort of a victim. No, Brendan Dassey should have told a teacher what his uncle was planning to do. He should have told the bus driver what his uncle was planning to do. He should have refused to get off the bus. He should have said, please take me anywhere but here. I don't think he is innocent at all, and I don't think he was led to confess anything. And isn't it true that the 2 officers who interviewed Brendan Dassey actually asked his mother to sit in there with him? And isn't it true that she said something like, no, I don't want to hear what he has to say? And isn't it true that on a taped line that he also confessed to his mother? not knowing the line was taped? I mean, so how does that work exactly? I think he is guilty. I think the crimes that those two men, even though Brendan Dassey was still a kid, I think the crimes that those two men committed were absolutely over the top evil. You want to talk about a family in pain, a family who is grieving, a family who is being harassed? That's the family of Teresa Halbach, with all these scumbag weirdos on the internet petitioning for Stephen Avery to get a new trial. Take a look at how many people who worked their butts off on that case are being threatened and attacked and harassed and defamed. Take a look at how her own family members and her own friends are being accused of murdering her. I don't know, maybe they should start a GoFundMe and threaten to put a few people in prison for life. Maybe that'd shut a few people up. I'm just kidding. Here's another thing. A lot of people like to ridicule the criminal justice system in the United States. But you know what? Show me any other country that has a better criminal justice system. Tell me, what country has it better? I think that the criminal justice system in the United States is the best in the world. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thingy. Susie says, Daisy, if they know for certain and there's heaps of evidence, etc., I'm all for it. But then comes the but-for cases like this and others. I'm scrolling. Paul points out that Christopher Watts would have never gotten the death penalty, ever. That whole routine about how, oh yeah, he was so fortunate, right? Baloney. He would have never gotten the death penalty. And I searched, and I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. I didn't find anywhere that the prosecutor ever put the death penalty on the table, because it isn't automatically on the table. The state has to ask for it. And I didn't see anywhere in the court documents that they ever asked for it. So how is it that doing the plea deal saved him from the death penalty if the death penalty wasn't even on the table? Paul says, typical social media. Well, I think we've all learned a lot from the case of Christopher Watts, haven't we? How there are a lot of people lining up to scam people out of their money. And look at what we're told, How many times have you just, commenting, or if you've hopped up on anybody's panel or anything, how many times have you been accused of slandering a dead woman? I'm raising my hand. Are you raising yours? Like, are you kidding me? There's no such thing as slandering a dead woman. But how many times have we heard it? Can you say script? And what was the script right from the start? Oh, Christopher Watts' wife was an angel. She was holy. She was a saint. And Christopher Watts was evil. Well, I disagree. I don't think Christopher Watts was or is evil. In my opinion, Christopher Watts was being abused by his wife. And in my opinion, Bella and Cece Watts were being abused by their mother. And in my opinion, the state should have stepped in long before the tragedy happened and removed those children from that home. I don't know what dose lots of Tylenol is, but in my opinion, lots of Tylenol is enough of a dose to remove Bella and Cece from ever having to be overdosed again. Lots of Tylenol is not the recommended dose. And neither is Benadryl and Tylenol every night at 6:30 p.m. And all those trips to the doctor, all those trips to the emergency room, all those trips to the specialists, why? Why are we even having this discussion? Why aren't Bella and Cece Watts alive and well in a happy-dappy adoptive home? If Christopher Watts chose to stay in La La Land, even though I think he was abused by his wife, if he chose to stay, that's his prerogative. But neither parent had the right to either abuse or to not protect those children. And remember, would you stay with me if we didn't have kids? Yeah. Apparently, she was a nursing assistant and earned $90,000 a year. Who? Are you talking about Christopher Watts' wife? Well, I'm beginning to believe what some people have told me, that in their opinion, she was having babies. I'm beginning to believe it. I'm beginning to doubt whether she ever held any job. I mean, worked. Star Mama points out that she was a great mom, she was a great wife, and she was a great cook. Not. Yes, Daisy Days, she was a walking miracle because she told at least 2 people, one of them told me, that she was cured of lupus. Yeah. Susie says, yeah, pizza and noodles. Oh, and eggs. LOL. Lots of love. And wasn't Bella allergic to eggs, supposedly? Wench says the SW was jack of all trades and master of none. I don't even think she was a jack of all trades. I don't. I think she sat on her duff on social media. Think about this possibility. You know how the scumbag attackers have, their little gangs and their teams and everything? Have you ever wondered if maybe Christopher Watts' wife was one of them? Private Pirate says, witnesses said the shooter was wearing a red bandana. The murder weapon was found in Jones's home, wrapped in a red bandana, which has Jones's DNA on it. Well, there you have it, Private Pirate. Star Mama says, yes, just all breads. I use no salt crackers. Oh, no. I thought you were skipping crackers too, but I read it wrong. Yes, just all breads. I use no salt crackers. I did have rye toast for a BLT today. I personally think all things in moderation. I think skipping your breads is great, but I do think it's great also to have rye toast for your BLT. And I say that as a woman who experienced a kidney stone for the first time in my life after doing the whole keto thing. Star Mama says, and no soda. And be careful how much juice you drink too, because juice can be a little bit too much all at once too. That's another bit of advice, is to have the actual fruit instead of the juice. Brooks wants to know what my opinion is on who or what is the engine behind the CW case cover-up. Actually, I think there are a few layers in the cover-up. I think that there are a few different angles to it, and I think they benefit from each other. Summer Bree says, was it all that meat? I did the salads and the veggies and the meat, and the absolutely no carbs as far as like Starman's talking. But I cut out carbs and I did meat, and more meat and salads. I'm not sure because I'm not a medical person at all. But I know that the endocrinologist said firmly, and he said it in writing too, by the way, that the kidney stone was caused by the diet that I was on. Maybe from all the salads too, could be. Yes, green beans, definitely. And that's the first thing that the doctor said, because I had an actual metabolism doctor who put me on that diet. And that's the first thing she said when I had a kidney stone. She's like, oh, you better cut back on the green beans. What she should have said was, we're stopping this stupid diet right now, because obviously if you've never had a kidney stone in your lifetime, right? But no, she said, cut back on the green beans. And I remember that appointment thinking, really? So I went to my endocrinologist and I said, I'm concerned. And they ran tests, and then my doctor took me off of the schedule of that metabolism doctor right then and there. Mo said, did the daughter and the victim know the shooter? That's not my impression from what I just read, but I don't know. Daisy Days says, keto is great for a while, but I can't do without my spuds. You know, you guys, I'm old, okay? So let me tell you this. From being old, I've learned something. About every 10 years, we hear that you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, and this is bad for you and that's bad for you. I remember when they came out and said you shouldn't have butter. You're supposed to eat some kind of fabricated crap, right? And I thought, BS. I'm going to keep having butter. Sure enough, 10 years later, they told us butter was fine. Same thing with eggs. There's about a 10-year time frame. Oh, you shouldn't eat eggs, or, be careful. You shouldn't eat too many eggs. Baloney. Eat eggs. Eat as many eggs as you want, as far as I care. Because, I don't know, I'm almost at the point, and again, skeptical, not cynical. I'm at the point where if we're hearing on the news that we shouldn't eat something, then we should. Because they get it wrong every time. Star Mama says, I was thinking, what if the so-called video of a shadow was one of the kids scared because they were fighting, ran out to Christopher Watts? I don't think it showed all the video, just a thought, or another time. Well, this is what I think happened. I think that the girls were supposed to be behind locked doors. I think somebody else was supposed to be there supervising Christopher Watt's wife. Or more like, in my opinion, protecting the children. I think whoever was supposed to be there either was there and was sound asleep or was there and neglected her duties. And I think that when Christopher Watts backed that truck up into the driveway, I think Christopher Watt's wife became steaming mad. I think she ripped off her caffeine-coated Band-Aid, which she did in the mornings when she woke up. And I think the tragedy happened in that 20-minute time frame that she herself said she had that caffeine-coated, well, she didn't say caffeine-coated Band-Aid. That's my name for it. But she said herself that there were only 20 minutes in the day where she wasn't wearing her caffeine-coated Band-Aid. Well, her autopsy didn't say anything about a caffeine-coated Band-Aid. I think she heard that truck, and I think that's when she figured out that she had lost all control over Doofus. And I think she lost control big time. And I think that protections that shoulda, woulda, coulda been in place were not. And remember, I'm thinking it was probably moving day. I'm thinking she wasn't even supposed to be there. I'm thinking she heard his truck and she blew a gasket, because I don't think it was anything about whether or not the truck dripped oil. I think it was about her telling him he was not allowed to pull the truck in the driveway. And I think when he backed that truck up to the garage, she realized she no longer had any control over him. I do think it was moving day. I do think the ongoing family matter, that court hearing that was scheduled to occur shortly. Remember, it was on the schedule for shortly after the tragedy happened. I do think that she was of the belief she was going to lose all contact with Bella and Cece. And I do think that the issue of any pregnancy may have been discussed at that court hearing also. I think she knew she was losing everything the moment that he backed that truck up into the driveway. Because for the most part, he would do whatever she told him to do. When he backed that truck up, I think she realized, and you know, the most dangerous moment of any abusive relationship is the very moment that an abuser realizes they are losing control over their victims. I think there was somebody who was supposed to be protecting the children and supervising Christopher Watt's wife. And I think that person failed Bella and Cece by not protecting Bella and Cece and by not properly supervising Christopher Watt's wife. So again, I think she ripped off her caffeine-coated Band-Aid, and I think she went into a rage. So, Star Mama, this brings me back to your comment. I think that it could have very well been Bella running out to her father to say, please, Daddy, don't go to work. And I think he was doofus enough not to realize that telling Bella to go back inside the house would not have ended well for Bella. Maybe that's why he's sitting behind bars. Maybe he cannot get over the guilt of not protecting little Bella. Stephanie says, Miss Mensa, regarding the CPS case of SW, could that explain why Cindy said, quote, the social worker said their marriage should have been over long ago? What social worker? Well, I think Cindy was referring to somebody from the court. I'm not sure. Star Mama says, our judicial system is so backed up, I think they would laugh a YouTube case out of the courthouse. Ridiculous. Star Mama says, OMG me. I'm so bad for saying SW was a bad mother. Wife was not sick and abused those girls and CW. I got called out on that plenty. I want you to know, Star Mama, there are a lot of groups, discussion groups, that have said that right from the start, evidently. And they're still going strong. They just locked down when the attack started. Daisy Days is saying that it wasn't just his wife who was abusing Christopher Watts. I do think that Christopher Watts was falling for a lot of information that probably wasn't true. I think that during the pregnancy with Bella at the 32-week mark, I think his wife went like, how do they call it? Batshit. I think that he was probably told by a lot of people that he wasn't able to divorce her while she was pregnant. I think he was probably told by a lot of people that he wouldn't be able to get custody of Bella. I think he was probably told a lot of baloney. And then I think, personally, just my opinion, but on this channel, we don't have to say that, right? But I'll say it anyway, just my opinion. I think that when he learned that when Bella was just, I think, 10 months old, and then all of a sudden he was told she was pregnant again, I think he figured that he was not the father at that point. I think he was already planning to leave, and probably planning to leave when Bella was a year old, because I think that was probably what he was told, was that, he would never get custody of an infant. I think it's interesting that, Miss Infertile got pregnant with Cece when Bella was just 10 months old, because I think that she told Christopher Watts she was pregnant with Cece. Just my opinion, to stop him from leaving her. And I was told by Cindy Watts that Christopher Watts was pretty curious about that next pregnancy, considering their lack of intimacy. Well, just my hunch. I think he may have had the same concerns when she told him she was pregnant with Cece. Daisy Days says, imagine the pressure of reporting to your in-laws by phone every night. I don't know any man who would be receiving a call every evening, or even every other evening, or every third evening, from any in-law to say they're checking on the girls. Star Mama says, Star Mama, you know what? I got to say this. I love how you just put it right out there. Star Mama says what I believe also. Star Mama says, I think she was paid to have babies for others. So do I, Star Mama. And this is one of those issues where if you put it all together, remember how I say that it's like a puzzle piece that just falls right into place, where you don't have to force it into place. It just falls right into place, and it kind of gives you a little better picture. But if you think about it, remember how the Lindstrom's interview shocked me in the first couple sentences when they said that they moved out there in 2010? And then they said maybe it was 2011. And remember how we were told she was a nanny? Yeah, bullshit. She babysat for a couple months for one kid. I don't believe it. I think that nurse was one of her caregivers. And I think that nurse was one of her caregivers, possibly while she was pregnant. Just my opinion. And Star Mama's opinion, too. Paul points out that 15 months of having your in-laws living right with you. Do you know any man who would say, sure, honey, why don't your folks move in? Daisy D says, FaceTime every night, Paul. No way in hell. Wench said, master of none. She thought she knew it all. Jeanette says, and now they're abusing people online. Or others are doing it on their behalf. Look at how many of them. Look at what's that avocado one saying she worked for them. And then they're right in her chat, right? Saying, oh, thank you, good job, praying hands, all that stuff. And then, of course, look at Junior. Did you guys ever see that Facebook post? And it was supposedly FRJ with a list of phone numbers telling people to call those phone numbers until the people had to change their phone numbers. Did you ever see that? I think that was in late 2018. Star Mama says, I think SW had a major drinking issue. I think she had drinking and drugs and a big problem also with dishonesty. Wench agrees, and a drug issue too, Mama. Paul says, same, Star. And painkillers. Sapphire says, why do so many close their ears to SW's obvious problems? Well, I think, Sapphire, a lot of the people who are involved with any case discussions are actually not giving a shit at all about the case itself or, discussing any case. I think they're in place to attack innocent people because they're told that they should, jump on board and attack people. Oops, I'm sitting here talking and I had it muted. Paul said, do you boil them in a rice cooker, MM? And I said, no, I'm not as, brilliant or talented as Christopher Watt's wife was. I just throw them in a pan, but I do know how to peel an egg. And I don't have a 3-ring binder with quote unquote directions. So maybe that's my problem. I just throw them in a pan and do my best. Daisy says, homegrown steamed spuds with real butter. Delish. I love my taters. Summer Breeze says, but CW looks scared to death watching the video at Nate's house. Well, if two of my children disappeared with Christopher Watt's wife, I'd be scared to death too. Stephanie says, is that what CW meant when he said she wasn't supposed to be there? The moving day? It'd kind of fit, wouldn't it? It would also fit a friend saying, am I going to be arrested? Right? Exactly, wench. Or he was realizing he was going to be framed. Star Mama says that CW knows that SW was a bad mother, and he knows he should have said and did something to stop her. It's guilt eating at him. I agree with you, Star Mama, especially if poor little Bella did run out to him that morning. Can you imagine that if you said, get back inside, Daddy's got to go to work? And then an hour or so later, somebody pulls up at your job site and says, we got something to tell you, Chris. Yes, Susie, look at the timing of all those things. Think about how she hunted down for surgery for both kids, too. Right in the same month that he discovered she wasn't making the house payment. Star Mama, I think so, too. Star Mama says, Summer, I think he realized he was being set up, and he was scared what measures they would go to make him look bad. Summer Breeze says, people keep saying he's a narcissist. That is so hilarious. He is the farthest thing from being a narcissist, and so is his mother, by the way. I've spoken with her for hours and hours and hours. She is not a narcissist at all. Paul says the Watts never got the DNA results. Isn't that interesting? I mean, come on, if there's nothing to hide, then there's nothing to hide, right? Well, it's just my opinion. Mo says the SW would do anything for money. But I have had, well, one person in particular who is a lot smarter than I am about this case, saying that they think that she was having babies for money. And I think so too. I don't think she was babysitting anyone's kid. I started to say that earlier. That Lindstrom video, they sounded pretty firm that they moved out there in 2010 or 2011, a couple of years before Bella was born. And remember, her parents, her mother said in a letter to law enforcement that they moved in because she had a high-risk pregnancy. I think I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me. But I think I'm right. They moved in because of her high-risk pregnancy. But it's interesting because they didn't move in while she was pregnant with Cece, so did they move in because of a high-risk pregnancy? And if so, why haven't we heard about that pregnancy? Mo got a chuckle out of that. Throw them in a pan and hope for the best. I think I actually said, and I do my best. I'm not sure. It's hard to think and chew, at the same time. Jeanette, you don't donate? Are you kidding me? How do you know you're going to get into heaven? Because you know what word is on the street? Well, word on the street is that if you're going to go up to heaven, before you're let in, they're going to ask Christopher Watt's wife if you should be let in. Did you know that? December law or December low? I don't want to change the font right now. I'll just call you December. Looks like low. I'll just call you December. December says, howdy, just got here. They actually said just got her. Glued to the Rittenhouse. There goes my voice. Glued to the Rittenhouse case. Have you heard yet? Is there a verdict? Let me flip over to this other YouTube thingy and see. I want to hear not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. But the fact that deliberations are taking so long in the Rittenhouse case, well, that bugs me. I think he'll definitely get not guilty on the Rosenbaum one. I think he'll definitely get not guilty on the guy who had the gun. So it must be, I don't know, maybe they're struggling with the third one. I'll just look at this live right now. There's a live chat going.
Disagree with itself. And so I take the freedom of speech as a paramount concern for that reason. So that's kind of how I address those issues.
So what about a megaphone, though? What about technology-enhanced freedom of speech? Because I don't think I don't have any problem with the things that they're saying. I have a problem with they're bringing megaphones with, we don't know this for sure, but certainly maybe the intent for other people. You clearly bring a megaphone for more people to hear you. What if they're bringing it to,
they're talking about freedom of speech and about the people out front of the courthouse. That was a problem with the Scott Peterson case too. They could hear the people outside. I think the judge in any of these cases, the court should take control of the situation. They can disperse the crowd. That's tampering with the jurors, isn't it? Isn't that tampering with deliberations or trying to influence the jurors somehow, right? They shouldn't allow people to be bringing megaphones in a courthouse where there's a jury deliberating. That's not freedom of speech. Their right to speak, stops right where the criminal justice system's right to have impartial jurors who are not being intimidated by mobs of people outside freely deliberate the case, right? Oh, December, was that you? Okay. I'm not sure. Is that the one about the tool cart, the T cart, or whatever you called it? Mo says, Cindy is a humble woman. Never narcissistic in a million years. She is not narcissistic at all. But I have been told by people who claim to know that there was an open CPS case that Christopher Watt's wife was actually labeled with narcissistic personality disorder. So don't you think it's interesting that people being attacked are accused of being narcissists? I've been told by people who claim they've seen evidence of an open CPS case that she was labeled with Munchausen by proxy, that she got caught medically abusing the girls, that she was, I think, bipolar with narcissistic personality disorder. Jeanette says, is that why CW went ahead? Well, we were told he went ahead, but maybe he didn't. Because Lindstrom said in their interview that they moved out there in 2010 or 2011. I think that pregnancy would have been the twins. But think about the last pregnancy. No prenatal care? Really? But she went in to get a picture, supposedly. And then NA was supposedly holding the results, for the gender reveal. Well, was there a different doctor that she used maybe sometimes? I don't know. Seems to me that a prenatal visit would have been a hell of a lot more important than getting a picture. Star Mama says, do you remember when SW said she had a plan and CW was not going to like it a bit? Well, maybe she was going to have another one to catch the bills up. Maybe that's what he meant when he said something like, yeah, it happens when you want it to, or something like that. I don't know. Yes, December. I saw that part right before we hopped on this live. That was interesting. I was very impressed with the female on the defense team. She articulated her opinion very well. Susie says she doesn't think the Watts family have a fight in them. They've been screwed over a lot. Maybe they don't know how to fight. I don't know. But I think they should have told their son to shut his mouth and gotten him a lawyer immediately. Grace, I agree with you, but I think that he gave them permission. And that's concerning. It sounds like he was signing all sorts of documents until one day he finally said no. He wasn't going to sign anymore, according to Cindy. Stephanie says, are you thinking the last pregnancy was actually a paid-for baby and not CW's? Yes, actually, in my opinion, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I didn't come up with that theory, but it was told to me by somebody who's a lot more intelligent than I am, a lot more informed on this case than I am. And the more I think about it, the more I think it's right. I think that theory is spot on. Paul says, did you see that Go Heavy went to Florida to hassle a family who lost their son? Well, Go Heavy, aka Go Hump a Dog, was one of the first to post slanderous, defamatory, harassing videos against me. I had never heard of any of those assholes, ever. And she was posting crap like, I'm smarter than she is. She said she wanted me to meet her out in the alley. She said she could go to law school if she wanted. And then she said she had an LSAT book right on her bookshelf. Like, yeah, I'm about sure she'd never make it into whatever. I mean, having an LSAT book on your bookshelf, ho, you're ready. For sure. You're ready. Character and fitness might be a struggle for her. Just saying. In fact, I think the LSAT would be a struggle for her. I think it's absolutely disgusting how Brian Laundrie's parents and sister have been treated. Absolutely disgusting. December wants us to know that they're naked. Jeanette says God has delegated his responsibility to the R's. And then she said, sorry, God, I'll do penance. I was offended as a Christian when I received emails from people telling me that the claim was being made that if you die and go to heaven, that Christopher Watt's wife would be standing there and they would be saying, what do you think? What do you think? Do they get to come into heaven? I highly doubt that Christopher Watt's wife would have any say in whether or not anybody goes to heaven. Daisy Days points out that's a big if she was pregnant. Brooks is asking, do you think that Facebook Live of her in the Oops, We Did It Again t-shirt was rehearsed and CW was just going along with the script as usual? I think that was like take number 4. I don't think she was allowed to be alone with the girls. I think him walking in from the garage was all part of the act. Susie says, according to KK, CW didn't give consent or even know they emptied the house. I don't think that's true, Susie. I don't think that's true at all. I'm not saying that KK didn't say it, but I don't think that's true. I think he did give consent, and I think what he gave was written consent. Paul says the video with the girls, again, was also staged. You can kind of tell that with Bella, can't you? Daisy Days says, I think it was one of her crazy days. I think she made her videos on crazy days. I think on the other days she stayed in bed. I also think the whole thing about her age, that pregnancy thing would make sense if she's lying about her age by about 6 years, right? If you have adoptive parents lining up, they would obviously be interested in knowing the mother's age, the birth mother's age, that is. And remember, the scumbags who have been attacking so many of us, one of their lies about our lives, one of their many slanderous and libelous and defamatory statements against those of us they're attacking, those of us they're targeting, is that they're accusing us of having had a baby when we were 14 years old. Now, isn't that kind of weird that they choose these people in the true crime community in what appears to be a random fashion, although the initial group of us that were being attacked right off the bat, each and every one of us had careers to be proud of. Each and every one of us had assets that I have no doubt they were hoping they could tap into. Each and every one of us had postgraduate degrees. I did see an email that was not meant for my eyes. It was about me from one of the scumbag attackers to the group. And it pointed out that I have my law degree. It pointed out that I have my own real estate company. It pointed out information about my 2 homes. It pointed out my children's careers. It pointed out the books that I've written. Isn't that interesting? Kind of like they were sizing up those of us they were planning to attack. And then, lo and behold, after the attack started, I would receive emails from these online reputation management companies offering to help clean up for a huge fee the crap that the scumbag attackers were putting online. It is blasphemy, Summer Breeze, and it is offensive to Christians. Christy said, Susie, were you in? I don't know what that means. And Dave's chat about Iron Lady Justice, because I was, LOL, lots of love. Uh-oh, I missed something, huh? Oh, okay. I get what you guys are saying. That's cute. Mo agrees with me that the laundries were mistreated big time. December says, I came to this case late, and you've always been so patient and gracious with me whenever I needed to talk and bounce my thoughts off of. Well, that's the cool thing about our channel, our discussion groups, is no kidding, all opinions are welcome here. If you have a really off-the-wall weird one, I might get kind of like, huh? I don't know. If someone comes in the door and says, Cindy Watts is evil and stuff like that, I'm not that patient and kind, but pretty much I like having a lot of different opinions. That's how we can learn from each other. December, were you the one with that T-cart thing? Because you're smarter than I am about that whole T-cart routine, but it's a really good point. How would he have carried bodies out? And yes, he would have had to lay her body down on the floor of the garage, right? I didn't see any dogs hitting on the floor of the garage. Oh, but that's right. They didn't hit on his truck either. So I'll say it again. I think when he left for work that morning, I think he sent poor little Bella back inside if there was a shadow and drove off to work. And I think about an hour and a half later, maybe, I think somebody drove up at the job site. And I think when he learned what had happened, that's when he vomited and whatever else. And I don't think he disposed of any bodies at all. Oh, you think that the shadow was the T-cart? Ooh. Interesting. Okay. And I probably read it, but I'm really sorry. I don't know if you were here when I shared that I just went on a 9-day vacation. So I didn't read every word. You Are My Sunshine says, what is your opinion as to why CW backed his truck up? I don't think he killed anyone, by the way. Just can't figure out why he did that, because he never did. You Are My Sunshine, I think it was moving day. I think that his wife was not supposed to be there. If she was there, I think that he thought she was going to be supervised properly. And I think that the court hearing that was scheduled it was coming up very very quickly. I think he knew that he and Bella and Cece would no longer be subjected to what they had been subjected to, what he had been subjected to for 5.5 years. I think that when he went out to his truck, that he decided to hell with having to park out in the street and lug his tools all the way out to his truck, and he backed it up. I think that marriage was over. I think he was absolutely finished with her. I think he thought that he would soon be safe, that his children would soon be safe. I think he also thought she was being supervised. And I think he figured he was free. I do not believe she went to North Carolina because they were happily married. I think she went to North Carolina because the marriage was over. And I think the court hearing that was coming up for the ongoing family matter was what he was waiting for. I do not believe that he lied to his coworker. I believe he was honest with his coworker that the marriage was over, they were done. So I think when he backed that truck up, they were done. But there's something that people who are in abusive relationships oftentimes don't know. And I'll say it again. I said it already, but I'll go ahead and repeat it. It's worth repeating. The moment an abuser realizes they have lost control is the most dangerous moment of the entire relationship. Mo says it's no coincidence they didn't go after those of us who've retired and don't own property. You know, I'm not so sure I believe that AD is actually getting attacked. But, I mean, I don't know what I think about any of that because I don't trust him at all. But I think that he could be perceived as having money. He was on the professional gambling circuit, and typically guys who are on the professional gambling circuit have money. And he also was a successful business owner. And for people who say, oh, he failed at business, oh, bullshit. He was not a failure in business. I think they view him as having a little stockpile. If he's actually being attacked. I'm not so sure I believe he is, but whatever. I'm talking about, I won't say her name, but there's one in particular. There were 10 of us to begin with. All 10 of us have assets. All 10 of us have careers and educations. And I'm thinking most of us are self-employed. I think that they only go after, with a vengeance, with their little scam, people who they think are going to run and hide, number one, while at the same time, they might have a chance of trying to extort money out of them. I'm back. I was just in the kitchen putting stuff away. Christy, you're cute. Is MM muted? I was out in the kitchen. Good ear. Good ear. Christy asks, will the day come when you name your attackers? I've actually named quite a few of them over the last 3 years, but I am very careful with what information I discuss because everything is actually forwarded on. I wouldn't even say forwarded because they forward it to me. So unlike channels like AD or any other channel creator or person claiming they're suing whoever, how many people are suing whoever right now, right? They all have their GoFundMes going. They're all using really big words, and most often, I would say oftentimes, most of the time, they're using the really big words in the wrong context, but whatever. I'll just give you a little hint that when people are gathering evidence, they're typically not creating a video to tell everybody on YouTube all about it. You know what I'm saying? The whole idea that somebody would be holding a GoFundMe in order to sue somebody, well, I don't think that's really how it works. I've heard about the roof, Summer Breeze. I haven't heard about a wedding. Is somebody holding a Oh, wait, is that the Canadian couple? Yeah, I like the name Go Heavy better than Go Hump a Dog, because that Go Hump a Dog routine was just too gross. Well, Summer Breeze, haven't they gotten married yet? I mean, weren't they raising money to get married like a long time ago? Christy says that she unsubbed from the shares in her big clean out. I stopped listening to anything either one of them had to say when they started treating childhood sexual abuse as if it was something that they knew anything about, as far as pretending that they ever cared about any victim, and next, that they were literally making excuses for child molesters. And it was disgusting. I emailed her and said, stop, please stop. Have him apologize for the crap that he's saying and then leave this topic alone. But no, heavens no, they didn't stop. And I refuse to listen to any of their crap from that point on. I refuse to hear anything they have to say. M says, why don't they raise money by putting out content worth paying for on Patreon? LOL. Lots of love. That comment just reminded me of the banner. So I just went into the banners and started the one that says, send me all of your money. I should tell you, though, I did find the discount thing on not YouTube, what's it called? Patreon. And I set it for a 15% discount because that's the highest I could go. I was going to put it at 20, but I could only go to 15. So if any of you are thinking about Patreon, and if any of you are already members of Patreon, I think you can somehow go in there and, I don't know, sign up and do whatever to get that 15%. I think you can. Paul says, yes, Daisy Days, maybe having a relationship with that weird teacher. Gee, was she 14? Was he a ninth grade teacher when she was 14? MJ says, I will never give money to anybody on YouTube. That's why I keep saying YouTube is free, you guys. I don't get that whole top chat stuff or whatever it's called. YouTube is free. That's what YouTube is about, right? Unfortunately, it has a lot of scumbag attackers roaming, trying to control YouTube. But it's supposed to be free and accessible to all. Yes, wench, what about that photo with that round tummy? I don't know. She didn't look anything like an Italian princess in that photo, did she? Was that when she went on a dance with her brother? Shalina, I didn't know you got flipped off. Who's attacking you? Well, take it as a compliment, sweetie. Take it as a compliment. December says that the measurements of the fetus never sounded right to me if she was 18 weeks. Well, sometimes we're told she was 13 weeks. Sometimes we were told she was 15 weeks. I haven't heard yet that she's 18 weeks, but I don't doubt you that you've heard it because that's how this case goes. The stories keep changing. Susie says she's back on the MRB rant. I wonder if those scripts just keep getting recycled or how that works exactly. I don't know, December. Maybe next week maybe next week they'll be saying she was 21 weeks along. I don't know. You know, the way they talk, it's like they keep trying to compare with the Lacey Peterson, the Scott Peterson case. And there's a huge difference, especially spotting and cramping and all that crap. Sorry about that noisy phone. It said spam risk, so I didn't answer it. December is almost 12 weeks, so it stands out. Yes, Bella, exactly. I don't even think it would be surrogacy, though. And I doubt that it would be the, top shelf of services. December says, but how did she find out the sex so early if she was only 15 weeks? Do you believe she did find out the sex so early? I don't. I don't know if she said that or not, Christy. But let me think. How many do I think? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 7. I think 7. Exactly, December. The place that did that ultrasound, They don't give any kind of medical advice at all. They definitely want to know that you're hooked up with a doctor, right? Christy says, far out. Can you just do a quick summary of them? Well, I'll tell you what I think. It seems to me that everything that the scumbag attackers were attacking those of us they were targeting about, all the lies they were saying about us, it seems to me if you had just scratched the surface a little bit, you could pretty much figure it's really Christopher Watt's wife they're talking about. They're accusing us of stuff that we would turn and go, wait a minute, what's going on here? So if they're going to be accusing us of having babies when we were 14, well, I guess I would count that one as number one, Christy. And then I think there was a time frame there where she went from flat-chested to not flat-chested. And I'm thinking maybe that was from some sort of a cash payout. And it was when she was into the MLMs. So I'm thinking that would be 2. And then the 2010-2011 routine, I'm thinking that would be 3. And then, the whole story about the twins, I'm thinking that would be 4. And then Bella, and then Cece, and then the claim of the last one. So that's 7. Do you think that she had a job that paid her enough for her to have a down payment for a house? I don't know. And remember how she quit coming home at night when she was married to her, we're told, first husband? That's interesting, Susie. Spotting and cramping, and she's complaining she wasn't getting sex? Really? Maybe she thought she'd get pregnant quick? I don't know. Yep, I think it was a little bit of extra to help with that disability check. And I have a feeling it might have been cash under the table. So it didn't interfere with any kind of, disability check. December says if her alleged illnesses were true, a doctor wouldn't encourage her to be flying and running around. Do you think her alleged illnesses were true? Shalina says, in her own mind, yes. I don't think so. I think she knew. I don't think she was a hypochondriac. I think she was a con artist or a wannabe con. December says, girl, hell no. Grace says, none of them. I do not believe she had any physical health challenges. I think she had mental illness. Serious mental illness. I'm going to click through my emails a second because I got like quite a few emails this last week. And a couple of them I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, here's one. I'm not going to say who it's from, but she came across a channel the other day called Justice for All. And evidently on that channel, they're saying something weird about how the bodies were not really Christopher Watt's wife and kids. The person who sent the email said that they think it could be true because she thinks that Christopher Watt's wife had people after her from her past. That there were rumors going around that she did have people after her, and then something about an affair, and the house in North Carolina, and the twins, and all that stuff, that she was like desperate to escape, except we learned from the Lindstroms that she moved there even earlier. So that's kind of different. But that would have been right at that same time frame too, right? She says fingerprints, DNA, scars and marks, mental illness, money problems. She said, quote, she was that demented to fake her death as a last resort? Huh. And then she talks about drugs. Well, interesting. It goes on too. I'm telling you, I got some pretty interesting emails this week. Pretty interesting. I'm scrolling here. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's possible she was having babies for hire? Do you think it's possible that a lot of the people who were her friends were actually caregivers? Yes, Christy, drastic measures. Remember, it's going to take drastic measures for her. I think, how did she say it? For her to be with the one she truly belonged with, or something like that. Well, and think about it too, Christy. What if it was like babies for hire, right? Whatever agency, I'm using air quotes, they'd want to be keeping an eye on her too, right? Could it be that maybe there was another pregnancy that they didn't take? Maybe there was drinking or something? And remember how she was checking out on a daily basis at that hospital in Indianapolis for like a month or a month and a half in the spring of 2016. Remember that? Guess how long we've been talking, you guys? Shalina says, December. My head can't take any more theories. LOL, lots of love, more to think about. So why don't we ponder on all that for a little bit? Let's hop off and we'll do this again, I think maybe Friday or Saturday. Maybe both, if you guys want to. Couple days, I'd say. If not on Friday, then Saturday for sure. Oh, I'm sorry, Christy. We've been on for 2 hours more than that. So we're coming up on the 3-hour mark. So we should probably say see you later for now. But I'll try to hop on Friday. And maybe we can get another one in this weekend too. So everyone have a great rest of the week. And remember, take your vitamin D. Get really good sleep. Drink lots of water. Hug your babies tight. Be safe. Be healthy. And know that you are loved. See you guys soon. Let's try for Friday, okay? And feel free to email me if you've got stuff you want to talk about. That's wonderful. And if any of y'all want to hop up on the panel, just holler. Let me know. See you Friday.